We're live. What's going on? How are we? It's been a little bit since we went live. So, wrapping up on the year's end. Put out a couple videos recently. So, yeah. But let's chat, man. We got a lot going on coming up in 2025. We still got some time though, man. I'm getting edgy, man. I'm like, come on, man. Let's get to that first pay-per-view, especially UFC 311. We got, that's a crazy pay-per-view. And again, the minute I hit live, man, my hair gets messed up. This is what always happens every time I go live. My hair gets messed up, man. What's up, Sankey? How you doing, man? So I'm excited. We got UFC 311, then we got UFC 312. We have that fight night in Saudi Arabia. I'm excited, man. I think it's going to be a great year for the UFC. So I put out a video, I think it was yesterday, talking about fights that I think would be really good to book in 2025. So if you haven't seen that video, make sure you check that out. What's up, Dale? How you doing, man? I think I'm pronouncing that right. If not, help me out, man. How you doing? Am I Russian? Just might be, man. I'm the mystery man, but I just might be. What do you think? Yeah, well, actually, yeah, because you know something. You were on the one stream, right? You were on the that stream. What's up, Jack? How you doing, man? 2025 will be better than 2024. I think it will. I think 2025 is going to be the best year in the company's history, but I have some doubts. Man. I got to be honest. I have some doubts. And the reason I have some doubts is because Dana and the UFC's lack of promotion at times scares me. And they've gotten more careless over the past couple years. And I'm hoping that maybe they can kind of get back on track, or I don't know. But that's what I'm nervous about, is because, and then they got the whole TV deal thing going on. So maybe they'll try to dress to impress for a little bit to try to secure that TV deal. So I don't know. I want them to kind of get back to more of the old school. Did you guys see for Usyk versus Fury 2, that promotion? Dude, that was absolutely crazy. The trailer type of like promo that they put out was absolutely crazy, dude. Absolutely crazy. But yeah, I hope it'll be a better year. What's up, Harry? How you doing, man? Islam and Umar, both of them winning seems meant to be. Yeah, I got them as locks too, man. I got them as locks. So they're hard fights though, man. Like this is, and people get on me. Like, so I don't like Merab at all. I don't mind Arman. I don't have anything against Arman. I'm rooting for Islam. So it's like, he's the enemy in the way. So it's like, it's respect at the end of the day though. You know what I mean? I like Arman, but I don't like Merab. I think Merab's a fucking idiot. And I just think that he's, people complain about Sean Strickland and Colby Covington and some of the Chael Sonnen back in the day. They're like, oh, you have to talk so much to get people to care about what you do. Have the same energy from Merab. He's the same exact way. That's why he posts those stupid ass skits on social media, because nobody wants to tune in and watch Merab fight. That's why I wanted to fight Jan. That's why I wanted to fight O'Malley, because they have big fan bases. Umar has a big fan base, but the difference is Umar's a terrible matchup and he knows it. So we already know all that stuff. But I don't like Merab, and I'm thinking that his days are numbered. I think that Umar, not only is he going to beat him, but I think it's going to be a hard fight. I think it's going to be a hard fight, though. So I don't know why I said it that way. It's going to be a hard fight. No matter what, both fights are hard for both guys. I think Arman is a hard fight for Islam, and I think that Merab is a hard fight for Umar. So, yes, I think that Islam and Umar are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be easy. So I just want to be clear about that. Yes, father's plan. We got Jones versus Aspinall, Pineda versus Ankalaev, maybe Ilya versus Islam. So many mega fights. But see, here's the thing, though, Jack. Come on, Jack. What was it? Strickland. Come on, Jack. Come on, Jack. I think that was funny. I give Strickland that. I'm not wild about Strickland, but that was funny. Come on, Jack. I'll give you a chance, Jack. You remember that? I don't know why I thought of that, but how often do the mega fights, how often do we get delivered the mega fights, though? How often do we get delivered the mega fights, man? Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel like 2025 is going to be big. I don't want to be negative. You guys know me by now. I try to be as positive as I can. And if there is some negative stuff that I say, I'm hoping I can come back on and it's like, okay, the UFC corrected this or whatever. And it's like, okay, we're good. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous, man. Because it feels like what can go wrong will go wrong for the UFC right now. And what they've started to do, which this happens in life, man. This is life. This is everybody acts like this is just the UFC or just like we see this in sports. You don't think that sometimes certain things happen in some of these games because it's better for business? I'm not saying sports are rigged, dog. I'm not saying they are, but aren't there certain moments where it's like, how the fuck did that happen? Or how did they miss this call? How did they this, that? And certain things kind of influence certain teams getting certain places. And then you sit back and you go, I guess it would make more sense for this team to be in the playoffs. They get better ratings. They get better. So I'm not necessarily saying that everything that things are rigged. I'm just saying business tends to get in the way of things being what's right. Like, oh, this guy should get the title shot. And I hope that we see actual rightful contenders. Like, we don't get all this ducking, because the art of ducking, that maybe that's a video I do. Something about ducking at some point. But this really started, a while ago, but we've really started to see this become more normalized. And the UFC picks and chooses who they're going to force into a situation where they can't duck. Like, as much as Umar or Merab was definitely ducking Umar, they forced him into that and didn't let him duck. But then they're out here letting Pineda duck. They're out here letting Jones duck for a fight. You know what I mean? So they pick and choose who they're going to allow to get away with shit, You're 23 and have gathered a lot of interest in boxing and MMA, and I'm thinking about joining boxing classes. What do I think? I think you should, man. I think you should. I've been training martial arts for a while now, like different disciplines, and it's fun, man. It's fun. Even if you don't have to compete or anything, just to train as like a hobby. It's a good workout. It's fun. Yeah, I enjoy it. What's up, Klaus? How you doing, man? I say go for it. Man. Merab has a small chance, but Arman stands no chance. I mean, I would say that Merab has a better chance of beating Umar than Arman has a better chance of beating Islam. But I'm just saying, I think that these guys are probably the hardest matchups for each other in the divisions. That's why I'm excited for the fights. And they're the actual, next best guy, right? So they're the guy that's actually going to trouble the champion. It's not like, oh, you got to be the man first. You got to be man first. You sneaky guy. Merab, you sneaky guy. You got gift. You're giving gift. There's my Merab for you. But how he was out there. He's like, Piotr Yan, he out there. He put on great performance against Figueiredo. Did you not see? He wanted to fight Piotr Yan so bad because he's like, I could just go in there. I'm a bad matchup for him. I'll go in there against O'Malley again. I'm a bad matchup for him. He knows that, right? That's why he didn't want Umar. So it's like, I just want a situation to where it's like the UFC holds the same standard for everybody, because as hard as I've been on Merab, same energy for Jones, same energy for Pineda, and whoever else, same energy for O'Malley when he played duck, duck, goose and cherry picked the, at the end of the day, the UFC, basically, they are going to pick who you're going to fight anyway, but these guys still have somewhat of an influence, right? Especially when you're a big name like Pineda or whatever, and you're kind of the, golden boy of the UFC now. You have a little bit of influence to a degree. You can kind of sway the public and get them behind that. That doesn't mean that the UFC is going to do what you want, but I don't know, man. I don't know. Things are interesting these days. Merab at least isn't a criminal. Yeah, he's not a criminal yet, at least, man. He's out there. He's like, I got some clips that I bookmarked on my on X, and I'm just like, this dude, he's reckless, man. He's out there getting into it with fans, and he's like, if you get in my face, like, I don't care, it's on site type of thing. And I'm like, that's real smart, considering you're a champion. You got some, notoriety now, like that. I mean, I don't know. I just think Merab's an idiot, if you want my honest opinion. Unfiltered opinion, I think he's an idiot. You think Yan is going to be Umar's first title defense? That's a fun fight. That's a fun fight, but the problem is I feel like every time Yan, so as much as I like Piotr Yan, I think we all like Piotr Yan, right? Is it even possible to dislike Piotr Yan? I don't think it is. And if it is, I'd love to know your reason for not liking him, because I feel like you can't dislike Piotr Yan. He's quiet. He now talks a little bit of shit. He's learned a little English now. He's got one of the best striking styles in the history of the sport. He's got outstanding boxing, very good Muay Thai. I love watching the guy fight. But the thing is, whenever everyone acts like he's this knockout artist. Well, not everyone, but some people. He's not a KO guy, right? Back in the day, he was KOing people, but ever since he's got towards like the top of the division, he wins like these masterful decisions, right? I know he finished Aldo. I know he finished Uriah Faber, But like, think of like the recent fights. He's not finishing anybody. He's putting on some great performances. But so my point is, he's not really finishing anybody. So anybody that has grappling, they're just going to take him down and try to win on points and win on control time. I think Umar could kind of strike with him, but I don't think anyone, the only person in the division that I think, well, I mean, Sandhagen kind of did, is O'Malley probably, right? And I think Umar could probably do okay in front of him on the feet. But again, for 25 minutes, if it was just, there was no grappling element at all, Petr Yan's a better striker. Like Umar has good kicks and stuff. He's not a better striker than Yan. And if you say that, I think you're out of your mind. But either way, it is a good fight. I think Umar wins, though. I think that stylistically, he causes Yan some issues. Yeah, Yan versus Umar is the bantamweight fight to make after 311. Absolute heater. I could see them doing that. And then to be spiteful because Merab wanted that rematch. So then they'll be like, yeah, we'll book it. Prates hinted that he's fighting Leon Edwards. I saw that. What's up, K1? I did see that. That's interesting. I can see them looking to go that route because Carlos Prates is someone that's marketable. He's building some hype. I could see them looking to do that. If Pereira beats Ankalaev, where does he rank all time? Right behind John Jones. Like in terms of the light heavyweight division, in terms of all time, I mean, it's like really weird, right? Because like Pereira has this pretty good resume, but there always seems to be like this, for whatever reason, when you think of Pereira, you're like, he's not one of the greatest MMA fighters of all time. But then you look at his record and you're like, well, his record's damn good. He's only lost basically one fight in the UFC, right? It's one fight, right? Because he lost to Izzy in the second MMA fight. Outside of that, he's beaten everybody. The Yan fight was close. I thought that he landed the more damaging shots, but I could have seen how someone could have given it to Yan. And Yan's body language was bad. People forget about that too. That's another thing that influences judging as well. I don't know that it's supposed to, but when you're sitting on the ground and you don't have your hands up after the fight and you look defeated, the judges are like, hey, that guy lost. You know what I mean? Like those are like tells that aren't particularly good. So that I think that hurt Yan as well. But Pereira's got a great resume, you know, and people are like, oh, well, he only fought this guy. He fights the guys the UFC puts in front of him. Now, if he moves up to heavyweight and tries to close out his career before fighting a guy like Ankalaev, I think it dampens it. I'm just being honest. I think I'm trying not to be biased here. I'm just saying, I think it dampens it because, and that goes for Ilia Topuria also, right? That goes for Topuria as well. These guys that win the belt and you don't actually fight the true number one guy in the division, they kind of give you these fun matchups or whatever. That's fine. I think that Ankalaev should have gotten the shot. But as long as Ankalaev at some point gets this shot, and it's like, okay, then we can evaluate where we're going to place Peloton. But if he evacuates or jumps up to heavyweight and never takes on the hardest challenge stylistically for him and the true number one contender, I mean, that's damaging, in my opinion, to the legacy. So it should have been Ankalaev before Roundtree. UFC is like, well, all this stuff's going on. I don't know what the deal was, but that fight needs to happen, in my opinion. Same thing with Topuria. Topuria shouldn't be bouncing up to 55 just yet. I understand what he's trying to do, but I think he needs to defend the belt a time or two before they just give him an opportunity to go fight for a title up there. Sports are rigged to an extent. O'Malley and Pimblett both winning robbery decisions didn't happen on accident. Yeah, I mean, those were definitely suspicious. There's no question because they did not win those fights. I agree. Ribovic versus Rufi. Who do I got? That's interesting. I would lean towards Mauricio Rufi because I think that he's a sniper. He's a very, very good fighter, but Ribovic is dangerous. And if Rufi can't get you out of there and you're standing in front of him for 15 minutes and you're pushing the pace, Rufi gets tired. That's how I think it's his only loss in his career. Mauricio Rufi, that pretty sure the fight's on YouTube. He gets KO'd, and it's because he gets tired as the fight plays out. He comes out like a bat out of hell, throwing all these big, powerful shots, and then he gasses out, and then he gets KO'd. So there is a path to victory over Mauricio Rufi. I think Mauricio Rufi is great. I think he's got the X factor, but I think as he gets higher up into the division, I think he's going to run into some problems. Hey, thank you for the Canadian $5. I believe that's Canadian, right? See, I don't know my things, but I appreciate that, man. Thank you very much. The graphic and aesthetic of those PowerPoint videos are really good. Also, it sucks for Merab because he's one of the best resume in the modern era. Thank you again for the super chat, man. That means a lot. And And I appreciate that for the PowerPoints. I just tried to make that kind of a fun thing for, it's just a better visual instead of just staring at a big screen of me. I think it's fun to just kind of do some different things. So I appreciate that. And then also, yeah, I see what you're saying. Like Merab has a good resume. Like he does have I'm actually going to pull up Merab's resume here actually, because you inspired me here to pull that up. So let's pull that. I'm working for the super chat, man. I'm working for the super chat. So let me see what let me pull this up here. Trying to pull it up. Okay. Sweet. Let me go back to the chat for a second. Then we'll take a look at that in just a second. So I'm not forgetting about it. We'll go right to it. Merab is childish though. But yeah, styles make fights, man. Styles make fights. That's what it comes down to at the end of the day. You bet the UFC is going to give O'Malley an immediate title shot if Umar wins, which is going to suck. I mean, maybe O'Malley stays sidelined and then they bring him out and then he ends up coming out there and getting a title shot. I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do because I feel like O'Malley versus Jan should be the title eliminator. I think that they should do a 5-rounder between the two of them. I think that's the fight to make. You want Hooker versus Gaethje in 2025? I think that's going to happen. I think that's going to happen, Klaus. If Merab didn't inject EPO in himself, he wouldn't even be ranked. Everyone keeps saying that, but is that the deal with Merab, man? I've heard a lot of people saying that. So he does have crazy cardio, man. Unhuman-like cardio for sure. He's an alien. You agree you'd pick Rufy too? Yeah, I think he's just more technical, and I just think he's that damn good, but he gets tired, man. He gets tired. And you saw in his last fight, who was his last fight against? James Lontop. Now, people don't give Lontop credit, and I said coming into that, right, on my full card prediction video, I think I did pick Rufy by KO, but I said, don't be surprised if this goes to decision because of how tough Lontop is. Like, people didn't know who James Lontop is. They're like, oh, he lost 2 in a row. He's going to get starched. I'm like, he's a tough dude. So he was eating some crazy shots. I think he was in there with, wasn't it Slava Claus or something? He was eating some crazy shots and just kept moving forward. It was against somebody. I think it was Slava Claus or something. What's up, Rocco? How you doing, man? Yeah, I could see Tattoo Dan knocking out Gaethje. I could see that. Rufy versus Ludovic Klein. That's a fun fight. I like that fight. You think Merab's going to get beat up for a round and then ragdoll Umnar? You must be are you an O'Malley fan saying Umnar? Shave what? What are you talking about? My beard? Okay, let me pull up let's pull up the oh no, I don't know if I can. Okay, no, I can. There we go. Oh, we got a diaper ad here. Okay, let me make sure you guys can see this, right? Everybody can see this. Okay, cool. So here's Merab's resume, since I just got that super chat there talking about Merab. This is his resume. He's beaten Sean O'Malley, beaten Henry Cejudo, beaten Petr Yan, beaten Jose Aldo, Marlon Moraes, and then now we're getting down into some of the old heads here, people that aren't in the UFC anymore, but still, this stretch right here by Merab is crazy. Aldo, Yan, Cejudo, O'Malley. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. I'm not going to say it's like insane or anything, but I mean, the Yan win is, I think, what holds a lot of weight. And then going out there and beating Aldo holds a lot of weight as well. But if you guys are enjoying the stream, if you could do me a favor and give me a like, I would appreciate it. We're almost at 10. I would appreciate that. We got 30-some people in here, man. But what's up, Rocco? How you doing, man? Klein whoops Rufy. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe if he mixes in the grappling, because he did get who was Klein's last fight? It was against from Ultimate Fighter, Roosevelt Roberts. Remember? And he kind of got that was interesting. But again, that was like short notice. He was kind of switching around opponents. And so I usually give guys a little bit of a pass if they don't put on a great performance whenever there's opponent changes at the last minute. I usually give guys a pass, especially when it's a completely different style. I usually kind of am a little bit more, I don't know, go a little easier, I guess. Prostez needs to work his way up. I mean, he just starts Magny. So I think that we've seen guys that get one ranked win towards the back end and they get a top 5 guy. So it's not out of the realm of possibility, but I would like to see him get another fight personally, because so here's the thing with Prostez, right? I do think that he has decent grappling, but that's where I have some questions, right? Because stylistically, what happens when he faces now? Could you imagine him versus Sean Brady? him versus a guy like Bilal. Like what happens there? I'm not saying I don't think he beats Bilal, and I'm not saying that he beats Brady. Like I think Bilal would beat him. Brady, I think Brady would beat him too. Like stylistically, those are hard matchups. So what does he look like against a grappler? And I'm not saying, I know the UFC is going to do their thing. They're going to give him some fun matchups, which I encourage that. If you're going to pick guys before getting them to, this is the thing that the UFC is trying to do. For example, Shara, right? Shara Bullet. Everyone's like, oh, give him a grappler. Why would they do that? Keep giving him strikers, keep building him up, and then the closer he gets to a title fight, have him face that real grappling test in a title eliminator or in a title fight. Get him to the big moment first, and then get him those reps inside the octagon first. That's what the UFC is trying to do. And especially with a guy like Prates, there's other fun matchups. You know what I mean? Like, and throwing him in there with Sean Brady from a business move, that doesn't make sense. Like I saw people saying Sean Brady versus Prates. The UFC probably not going to do that. Give him a striker. You know what I mean? And I'm not. Now, here's the thing. When you become champion or you're in line for a title eliminator, there's no like, oh, we're giving you this perfect matchup or this and that. I don't think that should be. That, give them matchups to, build them up. I get that. That's part of the business strategy. It always has been. But once you get into a certain point, no more of that. You're in the Shark Tank. You know what I mean? Now you got to swim. That's my opinion. You think Sean Brady beats everyone besides Bilal and Buckley? I mean, I could see him possibly beating Buckley. I just don't right now from what we saw at UFC 304 and what we've seen recently. I just don't know who beats Bilal, man. Like, I'm just being honest. Thank you for the $5, Harry. I appreciate that, man. Put money on Islam chat and Jake. I put 10,000 on him versus DP. No joke. I put another 10,000 on him already. You put that? I don't believe you, man. You put 10K on it? That is crazy if you actually did that. But thank you for the $5 super chat, man. I really appreciate that. Helps the channel out, and I appreciate it. That's crazy, dude. That is that's crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think Islam and Umar are going to win. That's who I would be. That's who I'm picking. But that's crazy that you put that much money down, man. James came in overweight. I understand he stepped in on short notice, but he missed the catch weight too. Yeah, and that definitely has an impact as well. If you're human, you'll slow down in the later rounds, but what's up, Daniel, by the way? But Merab's output literally goes up in the later rounds. The amount of takedowns he fails and still has the cardio to shoot more failed takedowns is insane. Yeah, and you know what's interesting? Now, maybe I'm wrong, so correct me or let me know if because I haven't seen it, right? I've seen every now and then someone will say Merab EPO. Why is it that everyone criticizes Bilal, Habib, Islam, all these guys of all this, banned substances and this and that? I don't hear shit about guys like Merab. And Merab, you all know, I'm sure, what EPO can do for you and your gas tank and this and that. I'm not saying Merab's on anything. I'm just saying where are all the crazy accusations there? People accuse the hell out of, Team Habib. Right. But then they don't keep the same energy for other people. So it's funny how like people in the community really pick and choose like who they go after for this kind of stuff, You got to say you were surprised by my matchup for Moreno versus Johnson, but it's an interesting fight. Yeah, man. Like I thought that was I don't know. Like I was looking at the rankings and I'm like, you know what? Charles Johnson, he's a guy that not enough people mention. I think he's got very good striking, and Brandon Moreno's in a weird spot. I don't think they give him another title shot right now with Pantoja as champion. I feel like that's a last resort at this point because in the flyweight division, by them signing Asakura, throwing him into a title shot, which, by the way, can we call that Japanese privilege or something? Because how do you go from, I get that you have a big following, but you don't have a single win, not even a single fight in the UFC, and you walk into a title shot. Could you imagine if that was Umar? Could you imagine if that was like Hamzat or something? You know what I mean? Like it's crazy how people pick and choose what to say. It drives me absolutely nuts because it happens for everybody. The UFC sees things and they're like, we're just going to do this. It happens for everybody. A lot of people get gifted opportunities, right? So there's a good example there. But flyweight division's absolutely desperate. They're not going to give Moreno another title shot unless there's a new champion, in my opinion, because we've already seen it, dude. We've already seen Pantoja and Moreno, twice? So, and Moreno, he didn't look hungry against Royval. He just didn't look like himself. Goes out there, looks like a beast against Amir Albazi. And I think if you give him this dude and Charles Johnson, who's got a fun style, who's going to come in there to scrap. I think that gives Brandon Moreno something to look forward to, something to motivate him, something to, and if he could go out there and put a statement performance against a guy like Charles Johnson, I think that'd be huge. I think that'd be huge. And why not? Because I think they're going to give Kara France the title opportunity. So I was just looking in the flyweight division. I think there's some fun fights that they can book. It's just a matter of the booking the right matchups. Colby or Gilbert Burns is the only person ranked above Colby that I think Colby still has a chance to beat. What's up, Alden? I think there's a chance Colby could beat him, but I still think Burns could win, because the thing with Colby, he does have the output on the feet, which I think could be a problem for Burns. Burns has the power advantage, but I don't think Colby's going to be chasing takedowns because of the jiu-jitsu and submission threat of Gilbert Burns. But Gilbert doesn't have enough output. You know what I mean? And Colby does have the output. So I do think that it is a winnable fight for Colby. I still don't think I'd pick him to win, but it definitely is. It definitely is more manageable. What do we got here? What's up, Colstrom? Oh yeah, coming up. Isn't that coming up? That fight coming up? The Clayton Carpenter fight? Let's see. I'm behind here. Juicy J fighting again soon? I don't know. I haven't seen any fight news for him. The UFC is a business. Yeah, it's a business too, man. So they're gonna make certain moves and give certain guys opportunities for sure. You only bet on Islam and a few other Russians. It will look crazy after he wins. Yeah, I mean, if he wins, you made yourself some money. But if he loses, man, I don't think he's gonna lose though. I don't think he's gonna lose. You think Islam inside 3 rounds? I mean, I think he's going to get a finish. I think he's going to get a finish too. Do I think Ilya's brother will get a good matchup? He did. He's booked for UFC 312 against Cody Haddon. And he's got a similar style to Ilya. But the difference is he doesn't have he's a weight class down. He's a bantamweight. And he doesn't have the same, he's got good boxing, but he doesn't have the same thud as Ilya. And I know they're not the same weight class, but still, even at bantamweight, you could still have starching power. He doesn't have the same kind of, like with Ilya, how he could put anybody out. His brother doesn't have like that kind of power, though. Joshua Van versus Steve Erceg. So I like that fight, but I honestly would rather see Steve Erceg fight Tatsuro Taira, and I would rather see Joshua Van fight Kai Asakura, because Van's ranked 15. He's in the rankings now, and then Asakura is ranked 14. I think Kai should have to fight somebody behind him now, considering he got gifted a title shot. But yeah, in my recent video, I think it's the most recent one that I uploaded onto the channel, I talk about some of the matchups I have, and I did a bunch of matchmaking at Flyweight, and those were some of the matchups I have, because I think Steve Erceg versus Tatsuro Taira is a great stylistic matchup. I think that's a good fight. I think that's a good one. Kai being ranked 14 ahead of Joshua Van is a slap in the face for Van. Exactly. The guy doesn't even have a single win in the organization. He had one fight, and he was gifted a title fight. And he goes in there and gets subbed within a couple rounds, and then he's ranked number 14. Joshua Van's out here taking short notice fights, going in there fighting the who's who guys to try to get into the rankings. It's crazy. It's crazy. So the Asakura title shot was a business move, and it was really smart by the UFC. Had some kind of aura and brought excitement. Yeah, no question. No question. And they were trying to tap into the Japan market for sure, because I think that they were trying to, in 2025, Danny keeps saying, we want to go to these places we haven't been or haven't been in a while. That's definitely a place. So, I think that that's what they were trying to do. But Taira lost as well. He lost to Royval. So it was kind of a rough end of the year there for in that aspect. Joshua Van versus Tim Elliott. I could see that. I'd rather see him go in there against another good striker, though. That's why I like the Kai matchup. Kickboxer versus boxer, basically. Steve doesn't deserve a top 5 opponent after getting put down like that. Come on now. No, listen, man. I just think stylistically it's a good fight. Stylistically, it's a good fight. That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Sean O'Malley versus Petr Yan 2 is the biggest fight in the bantamweight division besides for the title. Imagine if it headlined a pay-per-view. So I don't know that it would headline a pay-per-view, considering there's no belt on the line, but I think it could be a 5-round co-main event. on a pay-per-view, or they could make it a fight night headliner, depending on like if they go, because if they go to Saudi Arabia or something like that, we know that they load up the cards there. That I could see that. They could do some crazy fight night somewhere. I don't know. I could see that though, but it's got to be 5 rounds in my opinion. I think it should be 5 rounds. Hopefully Tyra took Royval up on his offer to trade together. That would be great. That'd be great because I think Tyra, he's just got to work on his striking a little bit. He's got to work on his striking a little bit, make a couple adjustments to the grappling. But that dude's young, man. He's a good fighter. He'll be back. He'll be back. Do I think Khamzat is going to be the GOAT? What's up, Twins MMA? I don't know. Maybe. We just the UFC's got to get him active. And I know that I think he wants to be active. It's just a matter of the issue with Khamzat is this. He's a huge name now. He makes a lot of money, to my understanding. And you're basically going to fight now when the UFC tells you. You're not going to be in a position like a Kevin Holland or a Buckley who's making okay money. You know what I mean? Your money will kind of increase as you go, and you can fight multiple times a year to when you're one of those guys making these big checks. They don't fight you as much. You know what I mean? Like, unless they need you to save an event like Alex Pineda. You know, Chimaev's one of the biggest stars in the sport. You know, people don't recognize that enough. He has, I mean, on social media, he's got over 9 million followers. That's crazy. On Instagram. You know what I mean? He's got a huge fan base. People want to tune in to watch Chimaev fight. So what comes with that is you're just not going to be as active because the UFC is going to pick and choose events for you to headline. You know what I mean? So it makes it a little hard. I think that the UFC, they fumbled the opportunity of having Du Plessis versus Chimaev. But at the end of the day, I think that there's also some other variables that go into that as well, you know? So you thought giving Strickland the title shot over Khamzat was a bad business move. Yeah, like, I mean, I thought it should have been Khamzat. I thought it should have been Khamzat versus DDP because I always say, like, I mean, I feel like a lot of you feel this way. You got to strike while the iron is hot. You got to strike while the iron is hot. And the iron, you know how we say in the MMA world, in the MMA community, it's like, well, you're as good as your last performance. And it's like, I agree with that to a degree. I don't think you should forget about what guys have done before that fight, though. But if you're going off of the last fight, like Chimaev has all the hype, you know, and that's who DDP wants to fight. And that's what's like fresh in everyone's minds, not Strickland and DDP too. I mean, that was a decent fight, but it's like Strickland went out there against Costa. That was a terrible fight by both guys, right? Everyone's like, oh, Strickland was boring. Strickland was boring. Yeah, he was, but it was also Costa too. It was both of them. Costa's pretty boy Costa now. He doesn't like to dig his feet in and try to scrap anymore. He likes to stick and move and play this points game now. He's changed his style, and it's impacted him big time. He's not going to win like that. That's just not his style, at least in my opinion. Watch out for Ramazan Tamirov. Didn't he fight recently? I'm pretty sure I picked him. He came over from, didn't he come over from Ryzen? Kolestrom? Didn't he come over from Ryzen? I think he fought recently, and I picked him on one of the UFC cards. How do I think the outcome of the Umar versus Merab fight will impact the Islam Arman fight? That's a good question, Anissa. Thanks for that. I don't know. That's a good question because I feel like if Merab goes out there, because there's going to be a lot of tension built up. I feel like it's going to be one of those fight weeks where there's a lot of security involved. Merab and Umar are going to have to be separated. There's not, maybe there'll be a quick little glove touch and maybe they'll kind of, I don't know though, because it's going to sell the fight. Merab's pissed off at the UFC. He's pissed off at Umar. I think that could bring in some interesting energy, especially if Merab finds a way to win. It could impact some things. But if Umar wins, then I think that they're going to be like riding on this high. Like they're going to be so excited. But I think either way, like Team Habib they've been in these moments, you know what I mean? And I don't think that they're going to get rattled either way, unless something absolutely crazy happens, like mayhem ensues, like Merab jumps the cage, like, and goes after somebody or, you know, like, but I don't think we're going to run into anything like that. But I think a win, because I think Umar is going to win. I think that it's going to help give Islam some confidence heading into the Arman fight. But I do think that fight will energize the fans for the main event, because I think the co-main event is going to be a good fight. Chimaev versus Pineda, UFC 313. What's up, Talib? I don't know that they go that route. I think that they're going to do Ankalaev versus Pineda probably right before summer, early summer maybe. something like that. I don't know. You could have Adesanya versus Strickland too for a pay-per-view main event. I don't know if that's a pay-per-view main event though, man. Like unless there's a belt on the line, and I don't think either of them are getting the belt again. So I could see it being like a big fight night headliner or something. I don't know. What's up, Arpon? I appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, those are some good matchups. Those are some good matchups. Yeah, and listen, the UFC at the end of the day, they're going to try to pick the most stylistically pleasing matchups, right? So I think that that's something that I was trying to factor in because they do put business in there quite a bit now. So, but yeah, those are some good matchups, man. I mean, I like Protest versus JDM. I think that that's a good matchup there. Going to be a worse business move once Strickland TKOs Hamzat in the fourth. Do you think Strickland will beat Hamzat? I don't think so. I don't think Strickland can beat Hamzat. Yeah, he's from Ryzen. That's what I figured because he fought recently, and I picked him to win. Didn't he fight in the UFC recently? And I picked him to win that fight. Marcus McGee versus Font is definitely the fight to make, especially since McGee is 34 and he's got to hit the ground running. Yeah, that was one of the matchups I had in that video because I was like, look, give Marcus McGee that name in the division. A guy that's like middle of the pack of the division, a guy that's fought some of the better guys in the weight class, but isn't like in his prime anymore per se, isn't probably going to be fighting for a belt, but is just going to kind of be like a Magny. You know what I mean? I don't think that Font is Magny level, you know what I mean, in terms of like that bad. I'm not saying like that. I'm saying he's going to try to have to, if he's going to stick around, he's going to have to fend off these up-and-coming guys, you know what I mean? So what's up, Alex? Thank you for the 199 super chat. Can Merab's emotions cost him the fight? Salute. I appreciate it. Thanks, man, for the super chat. I really appreciate that. I think his emotions are going to mess with him. Yes, I absolutely think so because the thing with fighting, guys, like everyone, like it's all the build up and this and that, and it's like we all get into it and we're all excited, but for the fighters, they're the ones getting in there. And I genuinely think Merab is, I've said this numerous times. I've said this on my Twitter or X, whatever you want to call that platform. I've made videos on here talking about it. Merab did not want the Umar fight. He didn't want the fight. And I do not believe, we don't know for sure. Obviously, we heard what Dana said, what Merab said. I don't believe for 1 second that Merab went into that office and said, Dana, give me that fight. I want to fight Umar. I'll show everybody. Why was he glazing Piotr Jan? Why was he glazing Sean O'Malley? He wanted those rematches because they're better stylistic matchups for him. He knows that Umar is the most difficult stylistic matchup for him. He's pissed off that he's gifted an opportunity because Merab had to work his way up the division. He had to kind of go the hard way to get a title shot, which that is true. But people are ducking Umar, man. They don't want to fight him. And Sandhagen's like, I'll fight this guy. Nobody wants to fight him because if Sandhagen won, he probably would have gotten a title shot. So he took a risk and he lost. But I'm like, Merab, he's emotional here. And you saw that what happened with when he fought O'Malley, the emotions were playing into that fight as well. But with Umar, it's a different style of fight. And that's why I'm excited for. I'm never excited for a Merab fight, ever. Never, ever, ever excited for a Merab fight, especially because the guys that he's been up against recently have been guys that have decent takedown defense. Like everyone says, O'Malley has no takedown defense. He does have takedown defense. It's just the fact that Merab can shoot 1,000 times and not get tired. And I think if anyone can put a stop to that, it's going to be Umar. And I think that he has the striking to hurt Merab, so it makes it an interesting fight. So that's why I'm excited for it. I'm never excited for a Merab fight, but I'm excited because I think that Umar is the guy that could actually make Merab fight an interesting fight. So, but yeah, I think his emotions are going to negatively impact him. It's going to make him fight angry, but could make him dangerous though, because Merab, I don't think he's ever like really KO'd anybody. He's probably going to be swinging hard. You know what I mean? So UFC 312 isn't that great so far. It needs more fights. Also, Suarez dropping out of 2 fights, then gets a title shot as Dana White privilege. I agree 100%, Alden. So we do still have a little bit of time before that card, so I think they'll start to kind of casually fill that out over the next couple weeks. But yeah, I mean, Suarez getting thrown into a title shot is an absolute disgrace. She 11-0, I think is her record. She's pulled out of fights. She's unreliable as far as I'm concerned. And then they just give her a title shot against Zhang Wei Li. I mean, I would rather see some rematch that were like, give her the Yan Xiaonan rematch instead of rewarding Suarez, because this is what I said before, guys. Like, People have a hard time of not putting they have a hard time putting the bias to the side. When you set the precedent for certain things, I know the UFC does what they want and they don't really care what we think. When you set the precedent like this, you're now showing people that it's okay to pull out of fights. It's okay because we'll just reward you with an opportunity. No. Like when Strickland went out there and they're like, you need to go get a win in order to get another title shot. He's like, okay, I'll go do the bare minimum and march around the octagon doing the Muay Thai march, walking around doing that, throwing a jab and basically nothing else. And I'll get my title shot. Like you're not setting the precedent that like you need to go out there and earn that opportunity again. That's just my thought, and I keep the same energy for everybody. So that's what I think there. But yeah, it's a disgrace. It's definitely a Dana White privilege. I don't know that Umar will gas, but if he's going to gas, it would be in a fight like this against Merab. I would agree with that though. Merab, what's up, William? Yeah, Merab is definitely not happy. No question. No question. What's next for Yuri after round 1 TKOing Hill? They'll probably make him fight another fight. Unless there's a turnover at champion or Pineda leaves the division. I don't think as long as Pineda's the champ, he's not fighting for the belt again. They're not going to do a trilogy. He's down 2-0. And nobody wants to see that again either. What's up, Todd? Happy holidays to you, man. I appreciate that, man. Thank you. Yeah, the Fury Usyk video, I put that out and I'm like, look, I don't mind boxing, especially the big fights. I'm more of a boxing casual. And it was funny because people were commenting, they're like, you don't even know who Frank Warren is. Stick to covering MMA. Of course I know who the hell Frank Warren is, dude. In the video, I was playing it off. I'm like, some Frank guy. Like, because the point was, I know who Frank Warren is. The point was I was basically like being an asshole about Frank Warren because he was sitting there glazing Tyson Fury. He's like, I'm not biased, but I just don't see how you could give the rounds to Tyson. I'm like, he's so biased. Like Frank Warren's sitting up there literally he keeps interrupting in to like defend Tyson Fury at Tyson's press conference. So I was basically like pretending I didn't know who Frank Warren is because I'm like, why would Frank Warren's he's being a joke here, no question. I thought that was funny too. People telling me all the boxing fans, they were getting there were a lot of boxing fans that were actually like, cool about it and stuff, but there were some of them out there, you don't know anything about boxing, saying that Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua are legit boxers. You don't know anything. They are legit boxers because they're professionals and they're some of the biggest names in boxing, and they are good. They are good fighters. Tyson Fury is a good boxer. There's no question he's a good boxer. Anthony Joshua lacks a little bit with the technique. He's still good. Look what he did to Francis Ngannou. And I know Ngannou's not technically a boxer. AJ's still pretty good. He's not elite like the guys back in the day. Usyk is one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. No, he's not. You don't know what you're talking. I love that. People always got something to say though. But especially when you're an MMA channel talking about boxing, they act like we don't know anything about boxing. And it's like, I do know something about boxing. The sport fucking sucks compared to MMA at this point. But Riyadh season and Turkey Al Sheikh are doing some good things, though, making me actually excited for some of the boxing cards. So Merab had that one spinning back fist and has never landed another shot since. Yeah, I mean, he does have some power when he gets a little reckless, but he doesn't really land anything because he's just a wild man in there. What's up, Joshua? How you doing, man? What's up, Bulletproof? Are you crazy for thinking that Nasruddin Imavov finishes Izzy on the feet? I don't think you're crazy, but it's hard to do. It's hard to do because Izzy's got a very underrated chin. And I think that we're going to see a motivated Izzy like we saw against DDP. And if we see the guy that showed up against DDP, I think he could beat Imavov. But Nasruddin's fast. He's fast and he's dangerous. So I don't know. But no, I don't think you're crazy. I think it's definitely a possibility. I just don't know that it's likely, though. Who has a chance against Whaley other than Suarez? I mean, that's a good point. And I think the UFC, when they do something like that, they're just trying to inject some life into a division nobody cares about. If we're just being honest, that's what it is. A new name. They're like, oh, Suarez. They like to the casual eye, they just see 11-0. That's how they market it. An undefeated fighter. Will her O be gone by the time after she fights Zhang Weili? That's the whole buildup. And the casuals will eat that up. They're like, oh my God, undefeated fighter. Got to be so good. So that's kind of what that's about. You think Strickland is the most boring fighter in the UFC? Who else do you think is as boring as a fighter as Strickland that has held a title? So I think if you go after Sean Strickland, like what DDP is going to do, it can make him interesting and it can make him actually fight. And I think that Strickland has an effective, it may not be the most exciting style, but it's actually a very defensively effective style. And it's hard to get to him because he has a really good jab. Like I know he only jabs and teeps, right? I mean, I know that we all joke about that, but he's got really good teeps. They're annoying and they hurt and they suck to get hit by. If you've ever been hit by a teep, especially multiple, it sucks. He checks kicks really well. He's got good defense, and he's got a really good jab. And he does have a pretty good straight right hand when he lets it go, but he doesn't open up enough. And when he fights these guys that have power, he really doesn't open up. So that's what makes him boring. But I think there's guys that are more boring than Strickland. I think Colby Covington is probably the most boring fighter on the roster. 100%. And I think there's some people out there that say it, and it's exactly right. Strickland kind of did what Colby did. They tap into taking advantage. You know, people say they're like, oh, well, so-and-so will do certain things to take advantage of certain fan bases and win people over and do this and that. That is exactly what Colby Covington and Sean Strickland did. Nobody really cared about them at all until they did what? Until they attached themselves to who's going to be the president, Donald Trump. That's what think about it. When Sean Strickland, before he kind of did this whole thing where he became this real loudmouth, Trump guy, nobody really cared. Colby Covington, same thing. You know what I mean? And then he said all that stuff for Brazil, and then so I'm just saying, like that's what these guys have done. And before that, nobody really cared. And they kind of get caught up because they like Trump and they're like, oh man, this guy likes Trump. I'm supporting Trump. And they kind of like tap into a lot of the people that are Trump supporters. And those people are just like, oh, well, he likes Trump, so I like him. But they don't recognize these guys are fucking boring. You know what I mean? Like, because they are. Like, Merab's boring, in my opinion. Merab's boring as shit, too. So that's an example. Guys, Chael Sonnen always used to go out there and talk a crazy game like Colby Covington, go out there and stink up the joint. Same thing. You know what I mean? So you're looking forward to seeing Austin Bashi debut in the UFC? Yeah, that'll be good, man. Thanks for the $2, Izzy. I appreciate that. It's always the Colby fans who call Islam boring. Yeah, like I'm one of those people, man. Like I don't mind Trump. You know what I mean? I think that he seems like he has a good plan. Seems like he's gonna bring back world peace, all these different things. Like I'm not gonna get into the whole political thing, but I don't really have an issue there. But it's the fact that these people are like, you said you don't like Strickland. You just don't like Donald Trump. Like, you're an idiot, dude. You're an absolute idiot. That's not the case. There are plenty of MMA fans that voted and support Donald Trump that hate Sean Strickland and Colby Covington. Can't stand them because of their fighting styles. They say, think about this for a second. Israel Adesanya, I'm going to go in there and I'm going to get the most masterful KO ever. I'm going to walk out to The Undertaker and I'm going to go out there and jab and leg kick for 25 minutes. An international fight, we could have the fans leaving before the fight ends. That's bad. Sean Strickland goes out there. We're going to go to war. There is no war, right? It's just a jab and teep fest or him getting, it's just not very exciting. And then Colby Covington, I'm going to do something crazy. I'm going to electrify the arena. When has Colby Covington ever electrified any arena? You know what I mean? And these guys like attach themselves to certain things to try to get people drawn in to watch them fight. It's the truth. And yes, I agree with, your comment here. Who said that? Alden. That is true. Him going out there and beating Adesanya, it was very, very impressive. Almost nobody thought Strickland could do it. That was very impressive, no question. And that definitely helped his stock. You know what I mean? There's no question there. But yeah, if you want to learn good defense, Sean Strickland's a good guy to watch. He checks kicks very well. He defends very well. He's got good defense. And Sean Strickland is a talented fighter. I'm not taking anything away from him in that aspect. In terms of the person, interesting guy, right? But in terms of the fighting style, there's things that you can learn. He, good Muay Thai stance, checks kicks very well. He's got a really, really good jab. He's got a good straight right hand, but he doesn't open up enough. You know what I mean? He kind of just goes in there and marches forward and he just plays defense the whole time. And it's like when you go in there and you're playing defense the whole time and you put out no offense against a guy that's going to be heavy offense and is very durable like Dricus du Plessis, how are you going to win? How are you going to win? You could come in against the Kansas City Chiefs in football with the greatest defense of all time, and the Chiefs are going to put up points eventually. And if you don't have any offense, you don't score at all, you're going to be on the defense the entire game. That's exactly what Sean Strickland is. He's on the defense the whole fight, basically. He moves forward, yes, but he waits and he throws a jab, and he waits until you get tired to start opening up, or waits till the last 5 seconds of the round to open up. And those complaints are valid about Strickland, dude. They are. And there are a lot of people that even message me, fans of the channel, people that tell me this all the time. They like Trump, but do not like Colby or Strickland. So just because somebody doesn't like Strickland, oh, they don't like Trump. Not true at all. Oh, they don't like Colby. They don't like Trump. Not true at all. Not true at all. There's people that like John Jones, and John Jones likes Trump and stuff. So, like, people just do that. They play that game. And a lot of those people, they don't even know anything about MMA. They're just, they just like that Colby said something about, politics and they agree with, and it's like, oh, and then they just support him, but they don't actually know anything about him, the fighter. They don't know like what he's done in the sport. They don't know how his best accomplishments are losing to Usman twice. You know what I mean? That's the truth. It is. It's the truth. Let's see. Thoughts on Alex versus Tom. I think Tom KOs him inside 2 or 3 rounds. I think that Tom would be a problem for him because of the grappling as well. I think that that's something that gets overlooked. But, I mean, Tom's a real heavyweight, and he's fast. And I think Pineda would just be very slow at heavyweight, and he doesn't have good defense. Well, he has okay defense. I don't want to say he has bad defense, but, I mean, obviously he's a 2-time Glory kickboxing champ, and he's been great in the UFC. He's an offensive juggernaut. He's got very good leg kicks. Those could add up and be a problem for Aspinall, but if Aspinall lands, he's knocking him out. That's what I'll say is if he gets hit, he's getting KO'd. She didn't pull out of her last fight. The UFC scrapped that fight to make Weili versus Suarez because Weili couldn't get the flyweight title fight. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't pay enough attention to that one. So thanks for letting me know on that. Reyes versus Azamat almost targeted for London Fight Night. Are they actually going to book that? I thought it was supposed to be, wasn't it supposed to be Azamat versus Krylov or something? And then that fight got scrapped. JDM also signed a fight contract. Wonder who it is, though. Maybe it'll be Poirier going up to welterweight, man. I love that fight, dude. I'm not saying that I think that there's a small chance that could happen, dude, but Poirier versus JDM, how amazing of a fight is that? Stylistically, that's a great fight. If Umar beats Merab and wants to go up, then he gets killed by Ilya. Well, I don't think Merab and or if Umar beats Merab, and so Umar versus I think Ilya is a hard fight for a lot of guys, man. Is there a possibility that Merab might pull out of the fight? Does UFC have rules or penalties if a fighter withdraws without a valid reason? What's up, Timmy? That I don't know about, but I mean they'll probably just strip him of the belt. They're not fucking around with Merab, dude. They're not playing with this guy. I'm telling you right now, like bold take. We could see Merab's last year in the UFC being 2025. I think the UFC's sick of Merab. That's why they gave him the Umar fight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. All of Colby's last fights were good, says the first fight with Usman, except for the Masvidal fight. The only Strickland fight I liked was when Strickland fought Adesanya. Here's the thing. A lot of Colby's fights that were big wins in his career were against guys that were past their prime, guys that were kind of over the hill, guys that were towards the end, or guys that were on the decline. That's the facts. And, the Usman fights were decent. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't think the Masvidal fight was good. I didn't think that fight was good. It had a couple moments, but I didn't think that fight was good. And there's been a couple Strickland fights that I haven't minded. I thought the Strickland versus Izzy fight was all right. I thought Strickland versus DDP the first time was okay. Strickland versus Abus was interesting because Abus got tired and Strickland, figured that out. Imavov versus Strickland was a pretty good fight too. Like, I don't think all of Strickland's fights are boring. I just think some of them are. And if you don't go after Strickland, they're boring. That's the bottom line. Or if he's afraid of your power, then they're boring. Or if you try to point fight a guy. I don't know. You have a feeling we're going to see Topuria versus Usman or Magomedov? I don't think so. I think that we would maybe. I mean, there's a lot of ifs on that, though. What's up, Raheem, by the way? I think that depends on what Usman does, because I don't think the PFL is going to let him go. Like, I think they're going to do everything in their power to keep him because he's one of the biggest names. You wish fighters in the UFC would keep Trump out of the mix because not everyone is a fan of Trump and it gets old. I mean, it's just like the whole politics has just gotten kind of intertwined into things. So it's interesting for sure. Yeah, I saw that with John Jones. I saw that. Yeah, he's that's what listen, there's fighters that do that. They cling on to Trump because they know that Trump has like a big supporting like fan base or whatever. And they're like, oh, he's got a big name and I could just kind of use Trump as my personality, basically. You know what I mean? So thanks again for the 199, Alex. Can Diego Lopez and Evloev give problems to Topuria? So I think Diego Lopez can be dangerous early on. I think that his power could be an issue, but I don't think that Topuria is too technical for him. So I think Topuria would knock him out. And I think that he has some submissions that could cause some issues for Topuria, but I just think Topuria is just better than him. I think he's got more power. I think he's a better striker. And in terms of the jiu-jitsu, Diego's better, but Topuria is good grappling. So, I mean, he's dangerous, of course, because he's a big, powerful guy for the weight class. He's aggressive. So there's definitely dangers there. And then Evloev, he doesn't finish anybody. I like Mobstar, and I think he's a very good wrestler, and I think that he's improved with the striking, but he doesn't finish anybody, right? And I think the issue is he going to be able to control Ilya for 25 minutes? I find that hard to believe. And on the feet, if he gets touched by Ilya, he's getting knocked out. There is nobody in the division that can stand in front of Ilya for an extended period of time without getting KO'd. I mean, you could technically go the route of Yair Rodriguez or Giga Chikadze or two guys that maybe could, because they're really good kickboxers. And, you know, you could kind of play that kind of game there. But I just think Ilya is a problem in featherweight. I don't think anybody beats him at featherweight. I don't. Personally, I don't think so. When is the Abus versus Michel Pereira fight happening? I don't know. I don't know when that is. Is that actually a fight that's booked? I haven't seen anything on that. And if it is, that's a great fight. That's a great fight. And I'd like to see that because Michel Pereira is dangerous, man. He's dangerous. He's got crazy, crazy power. He's wild. He's fast, dynamic. So I'd like to see that. I think that'd be fun. Merab will win again. You think Merab's going to beat Umar? I don't think so, man. But if you guys are new to the channel, please subscribe. I would appreciate it. I'm trying to hit 4K before the end of the year. I don't know if I'll get there, but hopefully we get close or hopefully we get it. Kopylov versus Curtis should be a main event. I think that's going to be a fun fight. I think that's going to be a fun fight. I think that's going to be a striker's delight back and forth. I think that's a good matchup. Early prediction versus Jan versus Carlos. I'm not going to make a prediction yet until my video. I don't like to make early predictions yet, but I'll tell you where I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards Carlos Ulberg because Jan is very good and his style does age well when you age as a fighter. Like, he doesn't rely on a ton of movement. He doesn't rely on a ton of speed. He's always just kind of been plotty and kind of slow and good defense, very fundamentally sound. But I just think Carlos is going to be so fast. You know what I mean? I think Oezdemir is faster than Jan Blachowicz. And you saw Oezdemir was able to kind of, box him in. I don't know that Jan's going to be able to do that. But Jan has good leg kicks. He's powerful. And you saw what he did to Izzy, Carlos's teammate. So, but I think Ulberg's power and speed is going to be a problem. I think it's just going to be an issue. And Jan's been away for a while, right? He's been injured and I think he's been injured, right? So, I don't know. But right now I'm leaning towards Ulberg. I think speed and youth is going to be a big factor. And considering he's just a damn good fighter. What do I think? I think that Umar is going to beat Merab. I think Umar beats him. I don't think Merab beats Umar, but I mean, I definitely see a path to victory if Umar can't stop the takedowns and Merab keeps, shooting for takedowns over and over and over and over and over again. Then, I mean, of course, that's hard to defend, especially if he shoots 100 takedowns. You know what I mean? That's hard to stop. I don't know. I think Umar wins. That's who some predictions I've already been vocal about. I think Drakus beats Strickland. I think Islam beats Arman. And I think Umar beats Merab. Those are predictions that I've already been vocal about. So those are out there. Alexis Powers kind of overrated. He's considered a one-punch KO guy, but he has to land a barrage of punches in order to finish people. Tom has a great chin and will probably KO him even without the takedown. I mean, I could see that. I could see that. I mean, if the left hook lands, that's the one that puts you out. You know what I mean? That's what he puts you out. So when is the UFC Vegas 101? Let me see when that is, and then I'll let you know. Let me see. UFC Vegas 101. That is that's January 11th. No way, dude. So I thought we had fights like not next weekend, but the weekend out. Dude. Wow, we still have a while before fights, dude. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. Okay. So I usually do it maybe the Friday, like about a week out. About a week out, I'll probably put it out. Maybe I'll do it a little soon because the problem with doing it now, even though we got some downtime, is fights may fall apart, fights may get added, they may have replacements and stuff like that. So that's why I try not to do the prediction cards any more than about a week out. So I don't like to necessarily do it I don't like to do it at the last minute. I like to at least have it in by Monday. So if the fights are on Saturday that week, I like to have it done by at least Monday. But usually I'll get it out, by then at least. So hopefully, a week ahead of time. So you don't think the PFL lets Usman out? Yeah, they'll throw a bunch of money at him because he's probably one of the biggest names. And well, not probably, he is one of the biggest names they got. You hate the idea of Topuria at lightweight. You want Max versus Charles Oliveira, even though Oliveira should just wait for the title shot. Yeah, they might do the BMF belt, but I don't know. I feel weird about the BMF title, to be honest with you. I mean, are you guys even excited about a BMF belt anymore? I'm not. I was at first, but now I'm just like, it's just kind of stupid at this point. You see, there you go. Here's one. Izzy, look, you like Trump, but you can't stand the Colby Strickland fit. That's what happened. And you don't hear Strickland or Trump really talking about these guys anymore. You know what I mean? Like, because at some point you got to realize that these guys are hanging on to me for clout. They're trying to basically, like, the people that support me, they're trying to like ride off of the coattails of that. You know what I mean? What do you think of the 19-year-old WMMA fighter that got signed to the UFC on Christmas? Isn't that Alice Pereira or something like that? I haven't really seen a lot on her, but Merry Christmas to her. My voice is a little cracked there. Merry Christmas. So only guy who can stand with Ilya is Piotr. If he moves to 145, or we got to wait till Alexa's sons get a UFC contract. Yeah, I mean, Piotr Yan at 45 could be interesting, but I just think the power of Ilya would be a problem. I think the power would be a problem. Topuria is a bad style for Diego. Mobstar is a bad style for Ilya, but Ilya will KO him. Yeah, the inability to finish a fight, I think, would hurt Mobstar in that fight against Ilya. And I think that Diego's too reckless and he slows down as the fight goes. You know what I mean? So I think Ilya would be able to capitalize on that. Brito versus Zalal, that'd be a good fight. Is that booked or are you just saying that? I mean, that either way, that's a good fight. That's a good fight. You still can't believe Benoit got mauled like that by Moicano. That was crazy. That was one of the shockers of the year to me. What's up, Klaus? Yeah, I appreciate you hopping in, man. Where am I from? I'm the mystery man. Take a guess, man. Yeah, Yusuf Zalal, that's a guy that you can't sleep on, man. He's a damn good fighter. And his only loss recently is wasn't it Ilya a couple years ago, basically? I mean, he's a good fighter. The BMF belt is a joke. It takes the legitimacy out of titles that actually matter. They need to flush it. Yeah, I mean, look, it was fun back when Masvidal was on that crazy run. It was fun when Nate Diaz was kind of still doing his thing in the UFC. And it was like, okay, like I thought that was fun at the time. But now it's like it just feels worn out to me. But really what it is it's a gentleman's agreement that we're going to stand and bang. We're just gonna we're gonna strike. That's basically what it is. That's almost what it is. We very, very rarely see any grappling in it. Moicano came into that fight with an injured shoulder and still battered Benoit Saint-Denis. Saint-Denis got exposed this year, man. But he fought two good fighters, though, no question, though. Jean Silva has the fight style to beat Ilya, but too early to find out. That would be a banger of a fight if that ever happens. Hopefully we get that at some point. Is Zalal booked? I didn't see anything for that. That'd be crazy, though. It's crazy how many people do not want Umar to fight Merab. Are you saying in terms of like Umar fans saying they don't want Merab? Because I think every Umar fan wants Merab. You're saying like the Merab fans are like, no, we don't want Umar. Yeah, because they don't want that fight. Do I think Sandhagen or Moicano will ever become champ? No, I do not. I do not. I think I could honestly see. I don't know. No, I right now I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no right now. Because I think Sandhagen's been close, but then he fights, kind of in a title eliminator bout, loses. He's fought for the interim against Jan, he lost. Moicano, I mean, he's been figuring it out, and he's got a good style, so I don't know. I'll lean towards no, though. You think Carlos Prates is among the top 5 best strikers in the UFC? I think that's who you mean by CP, right? Carlos Prates. I mean, he's definitely up there. He's definitely up there for sure. Zalal did make a huge turnaround after coming back to the UFC. I mean, I just remember his fight against Ilia Topuria. I mean, look, that has aged really well. Even though he lost, that was Zalal's dangerous, man. He's well-rounded. He's a hard guy to deal with. So, and he had an impressive performance his last time out. So, he's a good fighter. I like watching him fight. Prates versus MVP prediction, no takedowns. I think Prates could beat him, but if you're standing in front of MVP, it's hard. It's hard for anybody to beat MVP, dog. If you're just going to stand in front of him and strike. He's so fast. He's so hard to read and hard to pick up on and, try to figure him out. It's a problem, So, no takedowns. I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Maybe Prates could KO him because he's got good Muay Thai. So, if he could get in his face. And MVP fights with his hands low. And if you could time a kick, you could knock him out. Also, Bashi versus Christian Rodriguez. Who you leaning towards? Maybe Austin for right now. Prates versus Edwards is in the books. I like that matchup a lot. That's a fun fight. You got Fluffy beating Brendan Allen. So do I. I think Fluffy Hernandez dominates him. Maybe that's a hot take, but I don't even think it's close. I know Brendan Allen has good submissions, and he's gotten a little bit better in terms of the striking. I think Fluffy Hernandez mows him over. Honest opinion. Seriously. I think that. I think everything that Brendan does, Fluffy does better. Fluffy has pace. He's got pressure. He's got decent striking. He's got good grappling, good submission skills. Where does Allen beat him? Where's he beat him? I don't think he beats him anywhere. That'll be a big win for Fluffy. You know what I mean? Because he's a guy he's a bad matchup for a lot of people in that division, no question. Yeah, I think Austin. I think his wrestling is going to be a problem for sure in that weight class, no question. Jared KO's RoboCop. I don't think so, man. I think RoboCop actually will wobble Cannoneer. Maybe even finds a submission too. RoboCop's dangerous as hell. And I think his striking's only getting better. You got to remember, he's like a crazy accomplished jiu-jitsu guy. You know what I mean? And his striking, he's like, you almost forget about the jiu-jitsu at times because he's choosing to stand in there and kickbox and strike with people. So he's dangerous, man. RoboCop's got crazy, crazy power. And his striking's getting a lot better. I think RoboCop beats him. I think he finishes him. Fluffy beat Brendan Allen on regionals. I didn't see that. I didn't know that. Interesting. I'll have to go back and watch that. But yeah, he's going to beat him again. He's going to beat the hell out of him. You want Fluffy versus Costa, to be honest? I really want to see Costa versus Ikram. That's a fight that I would like to see. Or I'd like to see Costa versus I kind of wanted Shara versus Costa. I thought that would have been fun too. Shara Magomedov versus Costa. That would have been a fun fight. Fluffy versus Caio Borralho would be crazy. Who do I got in that one? I think Fluffy beats him, man. I'm serious. Like, I don't think many guys in the division can beat Fluffy. The new Fluffy that we've seen, this improved guy that's just like very well rounded now and really, really good pressure, good gas tank, striking's pretty good, good submission. And he's not just taking people down and holding people. He can submit you. And I think that if you don't have really good takedown defense and a good gas tank, I don't think you're beating him. Who do I think would win between Moreno versus Pantoja, Pantoja versus Urseg? I think Pantoja will beat Urseg every time, just about. I know it was close first time. But Moreno versus Pantoja, I feel like maybe Moreno could take one off of him, but Pantoja wins on control time, man. And he just outgrits people. So Fluffy versus Caio is the matchup to make. I mean, I would maybe after Fluffy wins this fight, they do it because Caio, he's in a weird spot. He's kind of sitting around waiting because I think Whitaker was talking about going up to 205. And then I could see Caio, maybe I said Caio versus Marvin Vettori. That'd be a nice name to add to Caio's resume. I know that's fighting a spot back, but he got to fight up against Cannonier. Then you get to, I think he fought up against against Cannonier. That was a jump up in the rankings. Then I think if he fights Vettori, that's another guy in the division who I think Caio would pick him apart, and that would just keep him active, add another win to his resume, add another decent name in the middleweight division to his resume. I think that'd be fun. Vettori versus Borralho, I think that's a fun fight. You agree his pace and cardio would be too much for Caio? I think that would be an issue for sure. Who do I got, Holland or De Ridder? I don't know, man. I did not like what we saw from De Ridder against Gerald Meerschaert. I really didn't. But then Kevin Holland, it's like you can't trust Kevin Holland. You know what I mean? So I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Kevin Holland might be able to take it, but I think De Ridder is maybe a better fighter, but something's telling me Holland's going to win. I just don't like what this comes down to for me. If you would have told me this fight was happening without the Meerschaert fight happening, I think I would have been like De Ridder, but I didn't like the outing against Gerald Meerschaert at all. Fighting nerds are getting exposed soon. I wouldn't say they're going to get exposed, but they're going to be fighting the top of the competition now in the divisions. Loader's going to maul Cody Bumdage. Why did he have to get injured? Yeah, I don't know, man. Whitaker would be so small at 205. He was a welterweight. Yeah, he would be small, but he would be fast, I think. And there's a lot of guys at 205 that have been at 185. Yeah, Whitaker would be a little undersized. He'd still have some speed, though, I think. What's up, NYC Maverick? How you doing, man? Yeah, you've been around for a while, man. I appreciate it. Thanks for the support, man. Appreciate it. You're an OG. Holland just showing up for a paycheck these days. Yeah, but I mean, he's been competitive, though. He's been pretty competitive, though. RoboCop struggled against Pillow Hands Duncan. Jared has better boxing. I mean, yeah, he does, but Jared's also older and he's on the decline. He's been getting rattled around in his past couple fights. I know there's levels, but I don't know, man. Maybe. There's no one at 125 who could stop Pantoja. At 125, only interesting fight is Figgy moves down. I mean, I could see that. I think you're right. I just don't know if Figgy can make the weight class comfortably, and I think it'll compromise his performance. So I don't want to see it. We'll have a bunch of excuses. Oh, I was drained. That was it. Just stay at bantamweight. I think Figueiredo should just stay at bantamweight. I know at flyweight it's tempting because you have a nice path to the title, but he's had a couple fights at bantamweight now. I don't see him going back down to a flyweight and making the weight any more comfortable than what he did before, and he was struggling before. So you think Moreno and Urseg beat Pantoja? They inflicted much more damage, and besides Moreno getting so many reversals, why don't the judges look at that? I don't know, man. I don't know. The judges these days, man, they all kind of have their own criteria, it seems. Caio will get exposed. I mean, I think Caio's got, he's got good jiu-jitsu, he's got good striking, but I think someone that has good cardio, has good output in his technical is going to give him a problem. So, and I think a guy like Fluffy Hernandez is a really bad matchup for him. Someone like that. Leroy Duncan versus Andre. Who am I leaning towards? I mean, I think Leroy Duncan's pretty good. But I don't know. Maybe Leroy Duncan right now. I don't know. That's what I'm saying, man. In 2025, I'm expecting, hopefully the UFC will put together some good matchups that get us excited. So There's a lot of great title fights to be made as well. Especially at bantamweight and middleweight are loaded right now. Absolutely loaded. Roman Dolidze versus Caio. The thing is Roman Dolidze is farther back in the rankings. You know what I mean? And I feel like people were complaining when I said Boihayo versus Vettori. They're like, no, why should you do that? He's behind Caio by a rank, by one. Vettori's ranked 7 and Caio's ranked 6, I think. That fight makes sense to me. I'd book that one. Yeah, Andre's good. I'll have to go back and watch some more tape because off the top of my head, I got to watch some more tape. Pantoja versus Figgy at 135. It doesn't have wait, what? Insanely good legacy fight. In the meantime, Flyweight could figure itself out. I mean, yeah, true. But why at 135 though? Because he's got the 125 belt though. That's the problem. Yeah, Vettori was supposed to fight Allen a while back, and then they had to scrap it, and then there's been nothing since. Yeah, I don't think Roman can beat Caio, man. I don't think Roman can beat Caio. Yeah, hopefully Ankalaev fights Pineda this year. I think that's a fun fight, dude. Like that's the thing for me, is I think that's a fun fight. So, but yeah, no, Roman Kopylov does not beat Caio Borralho, man. I don't know who's saying that, but that ain't happening. Oh yeah, I saw you said that bulletproof. Yeah, I thought Ankalaev looked decent against Rakic. Rakic was running the whole fight, man. He was running the whole fight. Am I from Dagestan? No. No. Who wins, Patty or Chandler? I mean, I think Patty's the better overall fighter, but Chandler's got crazy power. And Patty looked good against Bobby Green, but I don't know. I could see Chandler possibly winning, but I could also see Patty hurting him. And then, so. Yeah, I don't live in Dagestan. And why do you say that? How am I the most Dagestani person? I don't get that. What do you mean? Uncle strike with Pineda. Now I think he will mix it up, but striking will be there. It's not a boring fight. I agree. Exactly. It's surprising that Rakic with his size doesn't have KO power. That's what I've been saying all the time, man. I agree, Rocco. Like the dude has no power in his hands. He's this big, strong dude. It's like Costa. When you see them, you're like, dude, these dudes are big. They look strong, and they don't really have KO power. They're like more of a volume-based a puncher. That's how they get guys out of there, and they rely on their kicks. You don't think Pantoja is underrated? I think he's underappreciated because he simply isn't a popular fighter. That's fair. That's fair. Either way, I think that he doesn't get the respect he deserves. And a lot of that is he doesn't have the most exciting fights at times, but he's still good, man. He's still good, no question. So, what am I seeing here? Conor McGregor posting some sparring footage, or not sparring footage, training footage. Ooh. The current combined age of the last 3 opponents Colby Covington beat is 128 years old. That's funny. That's funny. I mean, listen, Colby, that's kind of what made his career, man. Like, I know he went out there and, did what he did to RDA and won an interim belt and all this and that, but he's fought like guys like past their time, dude. Like, think about it. Still crazy that Kuniev, yeah, isn't it? Yeah, I forget the name exactly, but he's a good fighter. Rizvan, right, is his first name, I believe. And he's beating Curtis Blades or fighting Curtis Blades in his debut, which is crazy. They're trying to get Curtis Blades up out of there, man. Remember when people were saying Curtis Blades would be a problem for John Jones? Yeah, heavyweight's just desperate for contenders, man. That's what that is, in my opinion. Heavyweight's just desperate for contenders. Colby's best win is making it competitive with Prime Usman. You can't take that away from him. Yeah, I mean, he was competitive with a Prime Usman. Yeah, that's kind of what everybody mentions every time they bring up Colby. They're like, what's Colby's best accomplishment? And it's like, yeah, he beat RDA for an interim belt, but he had close fights with a Prime Usman. Yeah, Dolidze, he's got pretty good submissions, you know, but on the feet, I don't think he's that great. Yeah, I would agree with that, Cayman. I think that's actually a pretty good take. Blades is digressed a little bit because he hasn't used a wrestling in a while. Curtis is a tougher fight for John than Aspinall. I don't know about that. Yeah, Almeida versus Spivak is interesting. I think Almeida wins, though. Hey, Jake, what do you think Umar fraud checking Merab and then goes down to flyweight and TKO's Pantoja? I mean, that'd be crazy. I think he beats Merab, but I don't think that he goes down to a flyweight, though. I don't think he can make flyweight. But that'd be crazy, though, because he would beat Pantoja. He could beat Pantoja. I just don't think he can make the weight, though. Wait until Taliesin Teixeira gets in the rankings. Islam versus Colby at 170. Who wins in their prime? Islam. Jouton would go down to light heavyweight. I could see that, or should go down to light heavyweight. Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad move for him because he's pretty quick, and his grappling and submission game's an issue. He's just not mean enough. He doesn't land good ground and pound. He doesn't he should have dominated Derek Lewis in the grappling. He should have been able to finish Derek Lewis. Almeida's really scary. He is. He is when he's able to get people out of there and not mess around in there and just hold people. Marvin Vettori beats DDP? I don't think so. Am I still training Muay Thai? Like striking based stuff? Yeah. Yeah. Mixed. Yeah, we got Muay Thai mixed in there. It's not like a Muay Thai based gym, but yeah, we do different things that are Muay Thai techniques. You like Aspinall, but his division sucks ass. Feel good for the guy or feel bad for the guy? Yeah, the division, heavyweight division's it's a disaster. There's no path at heavyweight for Jouton. I mean, yeah, it's tough, man. It's tough. Almeida subs Gane. Yeah, I think he takes him down pretty easy. And then I don't think Gane gets back up. If Almeida invades your house and you got no weapons, you're cooked, man. Yeah. Yeah, if he takes you down, he's subbing you, man. I just wish he would add in some more mean ground and pound, like so add in some elbows, add in some striking from, if he gets to the mount. And he's just not very aggressive. You know what I mean in terms of that. So he's got good subs, there's no question. And he's got good takedowns too. He's got good takedowns. So my critique for him has always been that he's not very aggressive. You know what I mean? He's just not very aggressive, which has always kind of been my issue there. Hot take: Fluffy Hernandez would beat Chimaev. I think that in the division, that is probably Chimaev's, might be his hardest fight. I'll say that. I could see that being his hardest fight, no question. Considering he's got good grappling, got good submissions, his striking is improving. He is. I feel like I just don't know. With the question when you fight Chimaev is, can you defend off the early onslaught? And if you can't, he subs you and he gets you out of there. Or he lands a nasty shot and KOs you like he did to Gerald Mearshart. But if you could defend those takedowns and get into the later rounds, I would like to see what happens against a middleweight, a bigger guy. I still think that Hamza Chimaev is going to be a champ at some point for sure at middleweight. And I think that his hardest matchups are DDP and Fluffy from what I'm seeing. But the thing with Chimaev is you have to remember also coming up from welterweight to middleweight, he's very fast. And I think that the speed is a problem. Jan versus Hamzat. Hamzat's so fast, man. He's so fast. I've seen videos of Chimaev out wrestling guys that are like light heavyweights and heavyweights and stuff, you know. Ian Gary will fight for a title but never be champion. I think that's a good take. I can see that. I think Ian Gary's a good fighter, but I think some of those guys in that weight class stylistically give him issues to where he probably wouldn't be able to win a title. Maybe with the right matchup, but these grapple heavy guys will give him problems. Pineda versus Olberg, that's a great fight stylistically. I think Pineda could probably beat him. I don't know though. I don't know. Canelo versus Benavidez prediction if it happens. Benavidez is a problem. But I think Benavidez could beat him, honestly. And I think that's why that fight hasn't happened because Canelo likes to strategically pick his opponents. But Canelo's one of the best ever, man. He's got great defense, great head movement, nasty body shots, mixes things up well. That's a great fight. That's a great fight. You're going with Bilal to beat Shavkat. Like Shavkat got to do something to defend against those takedowns. I think Bilal beats him too. I think he mixes things up really well. He's got good pace, good pressure. Yeah, I think Bilal wins also. Yeah, the leg kicks of Jan could be a problem, no question. Who is interested to see the potential of Osmat Mirzakhanov? The guy is really a beast, but always gets hurt in training, and his age is not helping him to miss out the octagon this long. Yeah, because you remember when he fought at I can't remember what event it was, but he goes out there and gets a crazy finish. Wasn't that over Alonzo Menafield? It was his most recent fight. And it was a crazy finish. I mean, and I was like, dude, get out, look out, man. Osmat's going to be a problem, but then he gets injured and has to pull out of these fights. And you're right, he's getting up there in age, so he's kind of, that's unfortunate there, but he's dangerous, no question. Yeah, Hamzat is small for light heavyweight, but the thing is, he's so fast, he's so technical, and those guys aren't going to probably be as technical, man, or as fast. And if you've ever grappled, you don't have to be the biggest guy. The smaller guys, if they got real good technique and just because you're bigger, doesn't they can still throw you around. Can you imagine a wrestling match with Hamzat and Habib? That'd be crazy. That'd be crazy. Figgy finishes O'Malley. I don't think so. I think O'Malley would beat him. You got Sean Brady beating Leon. So do I. I think Sean Brady's a bad fight for him. Habib loses a rematch to Poirier. I don't think so. I don't think so. But we're not going to see Habib fight again, so we're never going to see that. But I don't think Poirier would beat Habib. He put him in a nice guillotine, but I don't know. Azamat was supposed to fight Khalil. That would have been interesting. That would have been interesting, huh? Who do you think would have won that one? That would have been interesting. Corey versus Figgy is going to be a banger. That's a fight I hope to see this year. I think that's a good matchup. Stylistically, it's a good fight. The Poirier that fought Islam beats Habib. I don't know that. I don't think so, man. I think he gives him a hard fight, though. Of all the top guys, who has the biggest fall from grace in 2025? I think Merab has a fall in 2025, man. I think at the fall of Merab is 2025. Islam versus Oliveira grappling match. Who would win? Islam. He already beat him in MMA. I know he hurt him on the feet, but I think Islam could beat him. Osman is a monster, so probably a finish in the second round. I could see that. I could see that. You think Pineda's going to have a fall in 2025? Maybe. We'll see. It depends on who they give him in terms of a matchup. Aside from Ankalaev, who can give Alex problems? I don't even know, man. I don't even know unless Chimaev moves up or some of these middleweights move up. I don't know. Stylistically, there's not a ton of guys that give him issues, in my opinion. You got to be able to mix it up because if you just stand in front of them, there's not many guys that can do that. I think Mirzakhanov would go in there and go after him, but I don't know. I don't know. Patty versus Charles would be crazy. Those grappling exchanges would be sick. That would be a good fight. That would be a good fight. Why is Alex ducking Ankalaev? Because Ankalaev is the number one contender who has a style that could beat him. And Alex struggles with southpaws, especially when it comes to the boxing. Straight left hand lands a lot. You saw Roundtree landed a lot. I think Ankalaev can beat him, man. I really do. Especially if he mixes in the wrestling, just to tire Alex out a little bit, make him a little bit more tired, make him a little bit even less defensively responsible on the feet, then he can KO him. That's what I think. But again, he's got to have an answer for the leg kicks because that's given Ankalaev issues. So, couple more, man, and I'm gonna hop off here. So this has been fun though. It's been a little while since I've went live. Like I said, if there's anybody new on here, um, please give this stream a like and then subscribe to the channel. I'm trying to hit 4K before the end of the year. That's my goal. So we'll see if we can get there, man. So, and I also put out a couple videos recently. I got a couple, one on some fights that I would like to see the UFC book next, heading into 2025. Guys that already don't have a fight so far. And then I did one on Tyson Fury versus Alexander Usyk and some of like the delusion and cope from Fury. So I broke some stuff down in there. So check that one out. You're pumped for Hill versus Yuri. That's a great fight too. That's on UFC 311 also, which I think is awesome. I think Yuri, if he can tighten up his defense, man, I think he easily gets through Jamal. But he's just got to fix his defense, man. If Pavlovich knocks Biggie Boy out, I'd be just as happy as when Reyes knocked out Jacoby. Yeah, he needs a win, man. Back-to-back L's, getting KO'd by Aspinall and then getting picked apart by Volkov. Yeah, he needs a win. And I like Pavlovich. He's probably my favorite heavyweight in the UFC right now. You think the UFC didn't like when Uncle Ives said he's thinking of not fighting for this organization after the draw with Jan? They don't like when fighters talk shit after boring performances. I mean, maybe there's some truth to that. I don't know. I feel like that, but also I think they've been protecting their cash cow in the light heavyweight division as well. Do I think the UFC should sign some fighters from PFL Tour? For sure, if they become available. Yeah, for sure. UFC will take care of Alex for as long as possible. I think so too. I think that they're going to try to protect him as much as they can until he exits to heavyweight, and then he'll eventually retire. Because you got to remember, he's older. Isn't he like 38 now? So he's and he had a long kickboxing career. So I don't know how much longer he'll be around either. So, but I think Yuri beats Hill. I just like to see Yuri fix some things defensively, but I think he's fast. I think he's unpredictable, and I think Jamal Hill. Maybe he could time him with a shot, a counter check hook or something, or a left hand down the middle. But yeah, I think Yuri can beat him. I think Yuri can beat him. So, but if you guys enjoyed this, like I said, give this a like. Check out some of my recent videos that I just made. I dropped a couple this week. If you haven't seen those, so yeah, Unk should fight before Ramadan and not wait for Alex because he'll make it hard. That's what they're going to try to do anyway. They're going to try to make it hard for him anyway. I appreciate it, Maverick. Thank you. I'm trying to keep the content coming, man. It's hard right now because we're at a little bit of a there's not a lot going on right now. So I've been trying to put some stuff out. So how far do I think Ebo Aslan will go? I mean, I think he'll climb into the rankings, top of the rankings, and then he'll fight somebody with a little bit more speed, a little bit more technical that I think could give him some problems. So I don't know, because he's got crazy power and he's aggressive. So when you fight like that, you can cause issues for just about everybody. So, but I appreciate everybody hopping on. This was fun, man. So yeah. And we got a couple weeks still, so I'll be dropping some content here and there. I'll go live a little bit more during this time that we have. And if I don't see you all before then, Happy New Year, man.